What's up, everybody? It's your boy T-Dubs back again. Never stopping, never quitting. And I posted a status on Facebook about it was a scripture in in Colossians about that said slaves obey your masters. But I'm gonna read this two different translations. One that was the English Standard Version. It's another one that I'm gonna read too. And it's gonna the reason why I got two different versions. I'm gonna show you what it really meant in the scripture. I'm not going to sit here and deny it and say slavery was not in the Bible and it wasn't condoned. It actually was, but I'm going to explain it. I'm going to break it down to you so we can have a clear understanding to see what it is. And I got a couple scriptures. Had to do a lot of reading and meditating and researching within the Word. I didn't go outside of the Word on this. I had to, because when I do research, I don't go outside of the Word. I try to dissect. So I want it because I want to get a clear understanding of God. I want to hear it and be able to have understanding and seek God. And I want to get all my wisdom from Him. But anyway, it was saying with that scripture, it says, "Slaves, obey your earthly masters in everything, and do it not only when their eye is upon you, and to carry their favor, but with sincerity of heart." Now let me read the other one. It says the King James version, which the type of one I read. It says, "Servants, obey in all things your masters according to flesh, not with eye service as man pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing the Lord." And the reason why I read the second one, because it's a difference. You're going to find out it's a distinct difference between between servants and actual slaves. And now, being as a distinct difference, it's going to be, let me show you. Let me go into it. I got my notes here. It's one in Leviticus. It says, "And if thy brother that dwelleth by thee is waxen poor and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bond servant, but as a hired servant, and as a sojourner he shall be with thee, and shall serve thee until the year of Jubilee." Now, I've explained that on my post, but what that was when that's what one Israelites was in service to other Israelites because they were paying off debts and stuff like that, and they had to make a service. They had to be servants. They were hired servants, though. They weren't slaves. So when I read those first scriptures to show you that there's a difference. It's not the same. It's not the same thing. And slavery is in the Bible, but let me show you where God actually condoned and told them to have slaves. Let me show you this. But this was he was talking to the Jews in this one, and it's the 44th verse of that same from the same Leviticus where I just read. It says, this is 44th. "Both thy bondsmen and thy bondsmaids, which then shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are around about you." Now these are the ones that are the idolaters, the non-believers, whatever you want to. Got a lot of different names, but they were for the heathen around in the area. So the Israelites. This is what happened. The Israelites were masters over these slaves, but the difference between this is they had to take them in and treat them like brothers. They still had to obey the Ten Commandments. They still had to keep God's law. They still had all these other things to do. So, when I say that, because that is nothing like what the Africans went through when they were enslaved in America. And there's a lot of other servitude that was going on. and it was nothing like this type of slavery. They still had to treat them as brothers. They still had to treat them and as citizens. They had citizens. They had rights. They had all kind of stuff. Some of them didn't want to leave because they were even the servants, even the ones that were providing service, because they were getting treated very well, actually. Even on the history side, when Africa was in power and they had slaves, they was getting treated. They improved economies. They improved infrastructure. They built up other nations. They were responsible for a lot of progress and all of that. So that being said, it's different. The slavery that African Americans suffered was not ordained by, it was not of God. It had nothing to do with what's in this Bible, what's in this book. It's completely different. Because the servant, now I'm letting you know that what we read in Colossians, it don't really say that. It don't really mean slave, obey your master, as in you fearing God. It was servants. He was talking to the servants. He was talking to other Israelite. Okay? Talk to other Israelite people. Now I'm not being bashing nobody over here with this video, because I had to do a lot of research on it myself. I had to delve off into the word. I had to meditate. It took me all day to read this and look at it and try to see what it was actually saying, because it ain't easy. But it wasn't easy at all. Very difficult. But it's two different types. It was for the heathen that was around them in that area. Other times that slavery, that when the Israelites was taken into captivity, it was due to being cursed and all of that, because they already knew how it was to be in Egypt. Because he said, I brought you out of Egypt. So don't be rudely over these people. You know, you have to treat them. You have to treat them right. You have to love them as your brother. So they already knew how it was to be treated as slaves, as under Pharaoh and all of that. So they knew. You know, they didn't. It was a different type. What God meant by bondsmen and all of that, it was different compared to what Africans had to go through. The African Americans dealt with. It's not the same. It's not the same type of slavery, because they was killing, they was raping, they was spreading disease, they was all kind of stuff. It was not like they fed the African scraps, and it was terrible. It was nothing. They didn't obey the laws of God at all. So it's two totally different types of servitude. When the Israelites did it, they had to obey the God's law. They still had to obey His commandment. They had to treat them right. They were treated very well. They were taken care of. Their lives were improved. Some of them didn't want to leave because they were getting treated so good. So it wasn't like they was getting tortured or killed or anything like that. And as a matter of fact, if they killed anybody, they got put to death. They were supposed to be put to death. If they put an eye out or somebody, they had to let them go. So how does make that line up with what happened to African Americans? We, if that applied to us, we would have been free, because they did so much stuff. So that's why I had to do it myself. That's why I had to read and stuff, because I'm trying to encourage everybody to, if you want a clear understanding of the word, you can read it, seek God for wisdom, seek God for knowledge, understanding, and because I'm passionate about it, it's what I do. I love to read it and talk about it and discuss it. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. But it's two totally different types of things. Slave and servant is different. It's not the same. And when God said slavery, it was specifically for the heathen around the Israelites. And that's the only time I read where it was actually condoned outside of an actual curse for disobedience and stuff like that. Other stuff that was about in the Bible, it was due to curses and stuff like that. And anyway, let me know what y'all think. If you believe in God, live what it say. It's gonna take you a mighty long way. And always remember, if it ain't Christ, it ain't right. Y'all be blessed. I love y'all.